On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very special treat. She's a professional surfer, speaker, and author of one of my personal favorite books, Soul Surfer. She's a beacon of hope, faith, and resilience. She's an unstoppable force whose perspective will change your life as it has for me and the thousands I have shared her story with. Her inspirational story is told in the movie Soul Surfer, and most recently, the documentary Unstoppable. Her mindset is absolutely bulletproof, and the impact she's had on this world is tremendous. She's just an overall juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific human being. Please welcome the iconic Bethany Hamilton. How you doing, Bethany?
Good. Aloha.
Aloha. How did I do for an intro? I did good?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool.
I don't know.
We're going to have so much fun today. Like I was saying before we went on air, I know you do a lot of these, and obviously so do I, because, I have my own and so forth, but I've been such a fan of yours for such a long time. Like when I first found out about you and your story and your journey, I gravitated towards it so much. Maybe it was at a time in my life when I just kind of needed something like that, but your story is just so powerful, and you personally, and the movie Soul Surfer, I must have watched it 500 times. Obviously, I listened to the audio book. And this one that you're going to get a kick out of. I recently pivoted from my business on Wall Street, and I started my personal development brand, CLS, and so forth. And one of the modules that I have all my clients that they have to do with my course is watch the movie Soul Surfer and just kind of fill out a worksheet about you and your unbelievable perspective. So sharing your message has been part of my life as well. So this is going to be really special for me today.
Aw, thank you. That's so cool to hear.
Yeah, my pleasure. I know the audience obviously wants to get an idea of the journey and so forth. So we're going to jump around a little bit, but just to get started, we're going to have some fun and we're going to get a little weird. You ready for me, Bethany?
I don't know.
Bethany, what is your superpower?
Ooh, my superpower. Gosh, I don't know if I have one, but I would say the things that keep me going are my faith in God and just like living healthy.
And also your unbelievable positive perspective. That
Yeah,
doesn't hurt,
and
right?
and like preparing myself for like the things you don't know that are to come, so to say. Like lately I've really kind of gravitated towards like accepting that the world's not perfect and that like there will be hardship in our life continually, and then you're able to kind of be ready for it versus thinking everything's gonna go perfectly smooth. I just kind of like, I wake up grateful every day and make the most of each day, but at the same time, like know that, okay, I'm going to love my family the best I can today because who knows what tomorrow brings,
So true. And also the pandemic taught me that, like, that's one of the reasons why I pivoted to really follow my passion and my purpose and do what lights my soul on fire. Because just like you just attested to, like, it taught me that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Not to sound like too spiritual, but we don't get to do this twice. Like there's no sequel. We've got to make the most of every second. So living in a state of gratitude and doing what's most important to you is what it's all about.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Describe yourself, Bethany, in 3 words.
Uh, um, I would say passionate, tenacious,
Ooh,
and just, and maybe faithful.
love that. Yeah, absolutely.
So like not necessarily even in a like faith-based perspective, but more of like just to the life I choose to live, to the people I share my life with, and to the values I hold to. I'm very pretty consistent.
Understood. I love that. And like, we don't get any use of like having a negative outlook. Like that energy just doesn't serve us. Like even like, I always try to tell people like, there's only benefits to come by looking at the glass half full, so to speak, or being optimistic. Since when has thinking negatively ever like helped us out, right?
True.
Yeah, love that. What's something interesting about you, Bethany, that a lot of people might not know?
Ooh, I don't know. I guess like I have a really different perspective on health, I guess. And I specifically learned a lot through having one arm. Ever since I was young, after I lost my arm at the age of 13, by the time I was in my late teens, I realized that if I wanted to continue to be like really strong and athletic in my sport and like successful and have longevity, I recognized like I kind of grew a passion for healthy living, but also like intertwining posture and body alignment. So for me, my perspective on like movement and health sort of things stems a lot from just carrying myself with good posture and working. I've worked with different people to help me kind of protect my body from, because I do so much on the one side. Like I'm just so much more
Yeah.
built, you know, on this side from paddling my board all day long, not all day long, but as much as I do, and just doing everything with one arm. So I guess it's like a little nerd side of me that I like love nerdy little things in that realm.
I love that. And as you were just speaking that, like for some reason I got a visual from the movie after, and you're speaking to the doctor and so forth, and you can tell me how accurate this is the doctor basically says to you something along the lines of this: the things that you're going to have to learn to do differently is extensive. The things that you won't be able to do is very minimal.
Yeah, and I think that was a true like moment after I lost my arm. Was like really, you know, there's so many unknowns. Like all of a sudden my life wasn't what I pictured it was going to be. I didn't know if I'd be able to surf, which was like a big blow for me because that was like my greatest passion. So hearing that from the doctor was like, wow, okay, well, we're just going to have to adapt. And I think that's when the adapt mentality started coming in and hitting me strong, and like realizing that, okay, I'm still going to be able to do a lot of things, just maybe slightly differently.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you don't need easy, you just need possible, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Love all this. And let me know if you know a good surgeon, because after surgically remove the smile from my face, I just love speaking to you, and just it's like taking me back over the last 10 years, like such a fan of your story and so forth. So I know the audience is going to fall in love with this, and obviously the journey and so forth. You've been through so many different things, and like now I know that one of the things that you take such pride in is being the best mother you could be and so forth. Obviously I know surfing still plays a big role. So right now, today, what makes you feel most alive?
Ooh, I think just being at peace with my surroundings and the world and with my family, and not like overthinking things, but just living the life that we hope to live or we choose to live, and just enjoying being with my family, getting in the ocean, and even helping others beyond our like little family unit. Like I really like having purpose each day to wake up to. And yes, motherhood is no doubt like my greatest purpose in the current day life. You know, it's just I wake up and it's go time every day. But just having that purpose to serve my family, and then also to put out some light in the world around me, gets me pretty stoked. So I don't know, I'm pretty much like love all the little different aspects of my life.
That's
From
how it should
living
be.
in from living in nature to surfing to motherhood to helping people around the world through different things that I do. And yeah, just doing life is pretty exciting, I
Yeah.
guess.
And what a journey, right? Like you can only connect the dots looking backwards, but just like looking at some of your journey, like what a ride. And obviously you're just getting warmed up. Do you still surf every single day?
Yeah, I was in a hurry. I'm still wet hair because I was like literally in the water 30 minutes ago,
That's
and
awesome.
I was in a hurry, so
Of course
barely
you
made it.
were.
I was like, "This is my only window to surf. I'm gonna go, hun."
Of course you were
So
just in the water.
what?
Of course you were just surfing right before this podcast. Of course.
Yeah, so it usually helps me to get in the water before I sit on my butt for a bit. I just love getting a little energy out, so I'm thankful I can jump in the water quite a bit still. And
Good.
Dad and I kind of like take turns, pass the baton or pass the baby back and forth, like kind of just work it so that we can all kind of get what we need to get done throughout the day. And also get some fun in.
Of course. And in the documentary, it shows the oldest guy surfing a little bit. And I imagine the documentary was filmed a couple of years back. How soon are we going to get the little guy in there?
Yeah, I know. I haven't got my little, he's 4.5 months now. So I'm not
Yeah,
pushing it, but yeah, all the boys have no option but to surf. So
I love it. Did you put,
well, they just at least gotta like be able to navigate the ocean. Growing up in Hawaii, you need your children to be comfortable with the ocean, and I want them to be able to surf, whether they like love it or not. Just be able to like handle themselves in the waves, and then I can be at peace as a mom once they're
yeah.
getting older and rambling about on their own more.
Do they have any fear getting out there or anything like that based upon, your journey and so forth? Or that's not even a thought in your mind?
No, they're not really scared of sharks, so to say, but I would say naturally they have like a fearful respect towards the ocean. And I think that as they get older and get better at swimming and like more comfortable with just, treading in the water, they'll get more confident. And it's just like a journey I think most children have to go on, or people.
100%. Yeah, of
And
course.
like growing up, I did swim team, which made me just dynamite in the water. And I never had a situation where didn't think I could get myself out of it. I always
Yeah.
had that
Determination. Yeah.
preparedness to like get myself out of any crazy currents or wipeouts. And yeah, so I'll do the same thing for my boys, just kind of like prepare them for whatever ocean scenario they might find themselves in.
Yeah. And preparation breeds confidence. I definitely respect that. I'm going to ask you one more weird one and then we'll start at the beginning, get a little bit of the journey. Bethany, when was the last time you had an unbelievable belly
A belly laugh. I would say there's some pretty good, like, okay, so my husband and I are big fans of Bitcoin in particular, and like we're very familiar with the crypto space. And there was this video because Bitcoin and crypto is very volatile.
Yes, I'm
And
aware.
there's this video, this guy like kind of falling, like walking on this like what do you call it? A bridge, but the bridge has big gaps and it's like over a huge drop off. And I think it's some sort of adventure, like you hook in, you're all harnessed up, but he's just like screaming on this bridge, like scared for his life, and his scream is just hilarious. And the meme was referring to like someone in their first like Bitcoin dip and how scared they might be.
Yeah, very volatile.
um, and I was very just crying laughing.
Good.
I don't know.
Isn't that the best though? Those belly laughs, priceless.
Yeah, I've definitely been needing laughter this last year. And I think it's such a like, you just got to seek it out if you don't naturally find it.
100%. 100%. I love that. You have to find it out. And also, I just wanted to show you this before we start at the beginning. This quote has been on my fridge for the last 5 years. I'll read it to you. It's probably hard to see. I've learned life is a lot like surfing. When you get caught in the impact zone, you need to get right back up because you never know what's over the next wave. And if you have faith, anything is possible, anything at all. I just wanted to show you that and let you know.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So true. So, and it's like it's what you were saying earlier, like about life, right? Like whether you're an entrepreneur, business, anything really, it doesn't just go up in a straight line. There's peaks, there's valleys, ups and downs. But you always have to stay optimistic, dust yourself off, and just have faith that this is just a minor setback, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's oftentimes too like some of our hard times bring out a lot of beauty. So many people look at my story and maybe their first thought is like, oh, that's horrible. I like, can't believe that happened to her. But then like look at my life since. Like I never would have had the impact I had if I hadn't lost my arm and if I hadn't gotten back on my board. So a huge like kind of message I'm just trying to encourage people in is just get back on your board, because we all fall off along the way. Like there's just wipeouts, there's things that happen, but it doesn't mean we can't like get back on our board and create beauty and have excitement and adventure and purpose in life beyond those hiccups along the way. And So, I'm so thankful for where my life is today. And, I've come a long ways, and there's been so much more than just the arm loss. Just living normal life it has its challenges. But I think when we're willing to, keep paddling and keep getting back on our board, so to say, there's more beauty to be found and shared.
No question. I love the way you word that and articulate it. So true. And when you say get back on the board, like, yes, you literally mean board, but also board is just a metaphor for life. Like, get back up.
For sure. Whatever your board is, so to say. Like, I know, like, I feel like when people talk about scenarios, like many people listening today are probably not surfers, but they have that thing in their life that they've kind of let go, or they feel deflated about, or they're just not equipping themselves to go for it, or they're not trusting in God to help them through this time that they're going through. But you can change your mindset, and you can change how you're approaching whatever it is that feels like a mountain to get over. And you can, find the beauty even in the darkness.
Absolutely. And sometimes the darkest part of our story ends up being the most beautiful when we look back at it. And I wanted to ask you, I know it can be overwhelming. Like, you do so many appearances and interviews, and people probably stop you when you just kind of want Bethany time. But also, like you just said, like, the impact it's going to make, and it's a ripple effect and so forth. So does that keep you like motivated and not frustrated sometimes when, like, you're like, oh, another interview, I just want some Bethany time, but it's going to have a big impact?
Yeah, I mean, I choose not to say yes to everything, because if I burn myself out, then what will I have to give? So I just try to balance it out and make sure to get in the ocean and keep my priorities in the right line. So just having good, healthy rest and family time and surf time, the things that fill me up even more. So then when I go and give and share, I have like the energy and the excitement to go and be there and be a part of whatever opportunity there may be.
Yeah, as they say, you got to fill your cup first.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I told you we're going to jump around a little bit because we just had 250,000 downloads already, and the podcast, everyone loves the guests. I know they're going to fall in love with you 2 seconds. Most of them already know you anyway, but also from me. You grew up in Hawaii, right?
Yep, born and raised in Hawaii, so it's a pretty special place.
Yeah. And you always wanted to be a professional surfer right from an early age. Like, your parents were surfers too, I know.
Yeah, it was my love for surfing began pretty young. I think my parents had me on a board when I was just a baby or a toddler at least, or maybe in my mom's tummy. And eventually, I think around age 7 or 8 is when I was like, okay, I love this. Mom, Dad, take me to the beach, like bugging, nagging. Not that I had to drag them, because they were already beach and ocean lovers. So they're like, of course, let's go. And yeah, that passion grew strong, and I had a lot of natural talent too, and maybe like the personality and drive as well to kind of like push myself. And yeah, from that age, it was just like no turning back, and just went for it.
Yeah. Were you as close with your friend Alana from the film in real life?
Yeah, we were like best friends, so that was nice to have a friend to like push myself, but also just have fun with, and kind of like egg each other on, and just kind of share the fun of the
Yeah.
ocean together.
Yeah. And also, competition breeds success. Like, a little healthy competition is good.
For sure. That's why, I mean, there was a whole like community of young women where I lived, and we were all like a super talented bunch. So there was a lot of like healthy competition. Not only that, I like entered every amateur surf contest there was in the area, and then eventually started traveling just within the Hawaii region to compete. So I loved that aspect.
Yeah. And then at some point, when you were about, was it 13, you had the shark attack and you lost your arm. I know, there's a lot of footage after that, and you're very optimistic. And I remember someone specifically saying to you, might have even been Oprah, like, do you think you'll surf again? And you're like, I absolutely know I will. Was there a moment after the accident and so forth that you second guessed that you'd be able to do that, or were you just driven like no problem?
Yeah, it was hard because I woke up in the hospital and that was kind of like the really like settling in realization that like my arm was gone. And so I just didn't know what was possible. And it was more of just like kind of letting things settle in. I didn't know like what my future held, what my life was going to look like. And there was just so much to kind of like take in mentally. So I eventually had a friend come visit me who had lost his leg to a shark, and he shared with me he learned how to surf with one leg, and he previously wasn't even a surfer. So that was like pretty cool to have that conversation, and that was like my spark of inspiration to like maybe I can surf with one arm. And then there it was just like I was just waiting until I could actually heal up fast enough to get in the ocean. And then
Yeah,
I think I went in a day earlier than the doctor said.
of
And once
course
I
you did.
stood up on my first wave and like rode it all the way to the beach, I was like, okay, there's no turning back now. Like, I didn't know how surfing would play out in my life. I just knew I would be doing it even with one arm.
Yeah,
And man, that journey of figuring out how to do it and adapt with one arm was no walk in the park. It was super
no,
hard, but it was also my healing place in so many ways, and a place of challenge, and a place that wasn't given or handed to me easily, you know, like a lot of things I maybe had help with in the day-to-day basis, but the ocean was like a fair competitor, you know, like it wasn't going to be easier on me than it was on my best friend.
yeah.
So that aspect of like pushing and challenging me, regardless of my limb difference, was kind of cool. And I think I thrived in that environment of like, you know, not getting helped all the time. And I
Yeah.
had to work my booty off to like figure it out and just overcome the difficulties and challenges to have the success and the fun.
It's so interesting that you said that because I was watching the documentary recently, and I believe you got nominated for an ESPY, right? And then you found out that it was for a disability, and then you withdrew the nomination.
Yeah, so that was a few years back. I can't remember exactly, I want to say. But yeah, I was super excited when I found out. I thought I was nominated Best Action Sports Athlete of the Year. And then I found out I was Best Action Sports Athlete with a Disability. And I have so much respect for all the athletes in that category. I just really didn't like the name because I never referred to myself like as disabled. I actually feel like I'm more able-bodied than most people.
Hell
With
yeah.
the things that I do, I'm like, I should be the person like sitting in the exit row on the airplane, like pushing the door out the window, out the airplane, and like carrying people off the plane. Like, I'm just like that person that could like be beneficial in that situation, but I actually am not allowed to sit in that seat because I have one arm.
I
But
understand.
like just to give you the picture of like that's how I think of myself. Like I know that I can, you know, I'm so physically able, like what I do in the ocean on the waves. I actually emailed the ESPYs. I was like, can we change the name of this award to Best Adaptive Athlete? And I couldn't get them to change it. So I was like, I'm just gonna withdraw because it wasn't something I really wanted to like receive if I had won.
I understand.
And so I was just like, for me, it just felt better to just
Yeah.
say no.
And I just want to acknowledge you for a second because you never want like a handout or anything. Like you just want fair play and shows a lot about your character and your courage. And I really appreciate that.
Thanks.
There's a moment also in the book, in the movie, where you're in Thailand and you're helping in the movie, you're helping a little boy surf and so forth. For you personally, at that moment in your life, was that a moment, a pivotal moment for you where you kind of got that like zest back for surfing and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, that was like probably the one aspect of the film that was a little dramatized, but more so the story of like giving back to the world. And I grew up in a, you know, a pretty hardworking family, but barely getting by at the same time. You know, my parents worked multiple jobs, but living in Hawaii is hard to make a good income and survive. So I saw but I also grew up like, for Christmas, we would buy a well for a village to bring people clean water. I dreamed of like going on a missions trip with my church to go and help orphaned children who have nothing. Um, so I saw the world in the sense of like there's so much beauty and goodness, but there's also a lot of hardship so many people are facing, and I wanted to help in that realm. And so I have been on several mission trips, and it was kind of a conglomeration of like a few mission trips I've done over the years, and just specifically going to Thailand was amazing because these people live off the ocean. Yeah, after the tsunami, there's so many children and people scared to get back in the ocean, and they hadn't been in there. And it was about a year after the tsunami. And so it was cool to like present an opportunity for them to have fun in the ocean and share my story of overcoming, and like encourage them like, hey, you can get back in the ocean. And um, it was, yeah, a really amazing experience.
Definitely. And I know that you inspired them, just you being there. And it's so true when you have opportunities to do things like that. It feels so good, obviously, for yourself, but it goes a long way with helping people. In regards to your faith, I know how important it is to you and so forth. Has this always been driven in you guys since birth and since you're a very young age?
Yeah, I think there's a beauty to living a life of faith. Not only just knowing that I'm loved and accepted as I am, and how that like propels me to live life in a way that's filled with confidence and surety, but also to look at the lens of the world of like, there's a lot of people in need, and to like love others and to give back, and forgive as God has forgiven me. And I just see, so much of the hardship we may face often is relationally, and being able to forgive ourselves and those around us who may have hurt us can really um, save a life in a sense. So it's just like this overwhelming like love and beauty and mixture of like forgiveness and grace, yet wanting to go and serve others and not like have my focus on myself, so to say. It just makes life feel balanced, and like I have purpose waking up each day that's beyond myself. And but I also have grace to forgive myself if I blow it, or forgive those around me if they blow it, and just get through life with open arms and lots of love, and trusting that ultimately God has me in the palm of his hand, and that brings just a lot of peace when things may be a little um not flowing perfectly or whatever.
Yeah. And God never wastes a pain, and he's using you in the mightiest way possible. Just look at the impact you've had on the world and the ripple effect, and you're going to continue to for generations. Yeah, beautiful. That's I imagine that's one of the ways you were able to kind of recover from the accident in a relatively
Oh, for
shorter
sure.
time than most people, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, when I lost my arm, it was wild. Like I had such a deep sense of peace that God was in control, and like even though this wasn't the plan I had for my life, I knew that God had a plan in it, and that I was able to just trust in him even though I didn't know what my future held, and things felt a little upside down. I still like there was just that overwhelming sense of peace carrying myself and my mom in particular through that time. And we were able to laugh in like the within the hospital, and just we just knew that like God was going to get us through this, and it was going to be okay.
Yeah, I love that attitude, that mantra, and everyone obviously should believe in something bigger than ourselves and so forth. It just keeps you driven. And even like you just said, like earlier in that conversation, like it gets you through the darkest days. Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
yeah. So, and you started doing a lot of like appearances and stuff, kind of like relatively short time after that. That can make anyone feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially for a young girl who like just want to be with your friends, or just want to surf, whatever the case may be. I imagine that took a lot of adjusting, getting used to.
Yeah, it was hard because on one hand, I knew there was so much beauty in sharing my story, and I wanted to do that, but I also didn't thrive on attention. I never liked fame. I don't like, being idolized or put on a pedestal. So it's nice, like living in Hawaii. I would travel, but then I would come home and just be with my friends and be in the ocean and have like some normality to my life and have some challenge and just like be a child. But then we would travel and like kind of live this like different sort of life, so to say. And I kind of like continually just worked on finding my balance in it all. And there's always pros and cons, but I mostly just kept the drive to know that for example, sharing my book, there was children who had never read a book and they picked up Soul Surfer and they would read it from front to back. And their parents are like, my kid has never gone through a book and then they got your book. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so rad. And then once we made Soul Surfer, I just would hear stories of children in the hospital and, they could be watching Toy Story or Soul Surfer. And I'm like, just knowing that Soul Surfer was able to like remind them that they can overcome and that they can, have a different perspective on their situation than they may have currently. It was just really encouraging to like keep it up and know that some of the things that we can't always do like there's always just some things that we gotta kind of do in life, like clean the toilet. You just gotta clean the toilet or else it's gonna be dirty. um, like you got to do a few things that you don't, not that I'm saying that's probably a terrible comparison because it's not even like close, but I'm just saying like
I know what
sometimes
you're
like
saying.
there was things I would do that didn't necessarily really want to do, but I would just kind of like get through it and then go surf and
Yeah.
be me.
I get the analogy. And I love what you just said, because what you just said is exactly what's in my head when I share your story and I have like all my clients and students watch the movie, so forth, and get that perspective, because that's what it's all about. Just seeing things, even just like shifting your head and seeing things from a different perspective, it kind of just, the world opens up. Maybe this wasn't so bad if you just change the way you look at things, so to speak. And I just want to take a second to thank you personally, because your stories played such a role in my life during some dark times. And obviously I turned, a lot of stuff around and I'm helping a lot of people now. And a big piece of that is from you. And so thank you for that. And also it's so interesting, like you're not the only one with a story like this, but everyone seems to gravitate towards yours specifically. And it's just really special.
Yeah, I literally don't even know why. I'm just like, I think maybe because there's that sense of like down to earthedness from me. Like I've been through some crazy things, but I'm still just Bethany at the end of the day. And I'm just doing my thing, waking up each day and just trying to make the most of what I've got.
Yeah. I think a lot of it also has to do with like your aura, like your demeanor. Like you just seem, like you just said, like so down to earth and so cool, and just like such a positive attitude. And I think anybody can relate to that or be an envy of it and say, maybe I should try to have an attitude with a little more optimistic approach and so forth. So I love it.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah. And then so here you are, you're a professional surfer and so forth. At some point, obviously, you meet your husband and you guys begin a family. And then the documentary years later. And it's so cool because as such a fan like I am, and for the millions of others, like I'm sure a lot of people were curious, like what happened after Soul Surfer, so to speak. And it's not like, the documentary is a direct sequel, so to speak, but it kind of shows what you're up to now. And I read some of it because preparation breeds confidence. And you said something along the lines of the documentary wasn't supposed to turn out exactly like that. It was supposed to be more of a short film. How did it end up becoming what it was?
Yeah, so after I got married, I had a friend who had been talking to is like, I want to do just a short film with you, like high performance, like show the world what you've got, like in your specifically on your surfboard. And I was like, any excuse to go on like surf trips and push myself in the ocean sounded like a blast. I'm 100% on board. And my husband was like, yeah, we need to check off some of your like surf goals. I know that you still have more in you to give. And so we started working on the what was to be a short film, like just 12 minutes, maybe if that. And
That's
then
short.
along the way, like a lot happened, and we conceived our first son, kind of like not when we were planning to. And then I ended up competing again and like just having a lot of success after I had my child. And we just decided to just turn it into more of a documentary and just capture some of the aspects of my life that hadn't been shared. Or I kind of just like let the filmmaker, I was like, yeah, whatever you want to do, like just go for it. Like you can share my story, and just as long as we can approve and as long as we have a lot of surfing going on.
I love
And
it.
like, so it went from being like action piece to like from Bethany, from childhood to motherhood, and kind of everything in between, and the different journeys and kind of like moments in life, a lot of the highlights and some of the low points, and overcoming some of the challenges and accomplishing some of my greatest dreams and aspirations, specifically in my sport. So it's pretty cool to like create and then go and share. And it's just so different from Soul Surfer. And you
Yeah,
know, it's cool to share the real Bethany too. And even hearing
definitely.
from like young girls that like love Soul Surfer, and they some of them even loved Unstoppable even more. So that was pretty cool to
And
hear.
rightfully so. It's the real you. And also like the filmmaker, like just the action sequences, like when you're surfing and just the shots of it's just beautifully done. It's so cool. And there's a part in there, and I know how competitive you are. Trust me, it's one of the things I love about you. You missed qualifying by one heat, and I know you're bummed out about it. And I wanted to ask you, because of everything that you've been through in life, like your grit and like your real life stuff, does that help you kind of like deal with professional challenges such as the surfing and so forth, or that stuff still pisses you off just as much?
Sometimes like it resurfaces and I gotta kind of like work through it. But yeah, I think like there's definitely that fine line of like celebrating the things you have accomplished and not like rousting yourself so hard on some of the things you didn't accomplish. And I definitely think like my life played out in ways like I knew I wanted to be a mom, and I'm just scared that like if I had really like went full on professional surfing, I might have like missed out on this beautiful aspect. I just think so many women, they get to like 38 and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to have a child." And they're at that point where it's like you're at the end of your child rearing years. And so for me, it's just been really cool to be able to do both. And so I just feel like I couldn't have planned out all the different little things that happened in my life, but I still got to accomplish so much of my surf goals and dreams. And who knows, I'm still gonna do a couple contests this year. I just like competing. It's fun to get the jersey on. I don't necessarily have any huge goals right now. Right now, I'm just kind of like getting back in shape after having my little one, and just soaking up family life for now. And but yeah, hoping to throw the jersey on a couple of times in the next year. So
Well, first of all, nobody would bet against you, and second of all, just based upon the way you just said that, I have a feeling that sooner or later you're going to get that itch to shock the world once again and do something pretty cool surfing wise.
thanks.
Yeah, I can definitely tell. In regards to the unstoppable, like that's become such a metaphor for you, and it's just like it all correlates to what you've been through and so forth. So I know you have a course now. It's called Unstoppable as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so I created a online course. It's like kind of surrounding the idea of living an unstoppable life. And it's not like by any means about being like perfect or having it all together at all times, but more about like living a resilient life and like making the most of what you've got, and like being present each day, and loving your people well, and reaching your goals with with accuracy, and just different things that I've kind of like picked up along the way that have helped me get to where I'm at today, and that I continually challenge myself in to live out on a day-to-day basis. And it's really cool. Like I always was in this place of inspiration, but I wanted to do more than just be that inspiration, but actually equip people, because I think we can equip ourselves. There's some things that we're naturally good at, or we naturally thrive in, but then there's things that we kind of got to work on and be aware of. And so being able to like find those tools that can help us to live more positively, or help us to face adversity with more resiliency. And it's been fun to share.
I love it. And for the audience listening, should you go check out Bethanys course and what she has going on? Absolutely. Where can they find that if they wanted to sign up, or even just find out some more stuff about it?
Yeah, it's on my website, BethanyHamilton.com. My team might have said I was supposed to share a course with y'all.
It's okay.
I'm
I'll
not
direct
even
them.
sure. Maybe you can share the link down below at the end.
I'll
But yeah,
direct them.
it's been really cool. We've had some really rad testimonies of people being super empowered. And yeah, I think like life is so beautiful when we're searching for the beauty and choosing it. And in today's modern living, I just think there's so much that it almost feels like, it can feel like the world is against you. So I think letting that go and letting go of like the expectations that the world's putting on you, turning down the noise, like having boundaries that protect the things that you're passionate about and that the life you truly want to live, and living a very intentional life, it's just so much more worth it. And I've just been learning continually on just finding my peace and joy amongst the challenges, and waking up each day feeling excited about life and to be passionate about the things I'm passionate about. And I just want to share that with others. So
That's what it's all about. And like, we gotta, again, not to sound like too cliche or spiritual, but you gotta make every second count, and use the word intentional there. And it's something I recently started incorporating. Like, be very intentional with what you want to do. Like, be direct. Like, if there's something you want, ask for it. If there's something you want to accomplish, go after it. Is that what you mean when you say being intentional? Like, lean into these types of things?
yeah, intentional with even like not only what you want, but intentional with your boundaries. I just say, like, for example,
That's
my
key.
husband and I, we really live a lot pretty digital minimalistic approach. So very little like device and TV and noise, and like it's really nice. We don't miss the amount we used to watch, and it supports us in parenting and in our relationship and in how we view the world. And so that's just like a quick example of like just some boundaries we set to like a more intentional life of like enjoying time with each other, with our children, not like throwing a screen in front of them even if they're like frustrating us, or they're acting up. They probably just need like some food or to go outside and be in nature. So finding these things that support us as individuals, but as also supporting our family in a way that, you know, choosing the life we want to live versus like just letting it happen to you. And I think especially after this last year, like really turning down the noise, like news, if you just have the news running all day long, you're going to feel stressed and overwhelmed, and that's not going to go away unless you turn it off and find your outlet and find something that brings you happiness and joy and health.
Yeah, I love all this. And just to be honest with you, like, I feel like I've known you for so long because I'm such a fan and so forth. But speaking to you, it's really special, and you really do. You have like this positive, calming, contagious aura about you. Just like everything's gonna be okay, and like relaxing. And I mean that in the best way possible. And it's very obvious.
Ah, thanks.
Yeah. So I want to wrap up. I want to ask a couple of questions just for the audience, because everyone was dying for me to ask you some of these questions, and they're all obviously huge fans of yours too. And I'm curious too, because people always ask me like, who are some of my mentors and so forth. And I have different mentors for different reasons, different seasons of life, and I'm a big journaler, so I love to go in and just read notes from books or whatever the case may be. But who are some people over the years that you may have sharpened the axe to, as I like to say, or gotten inspiration from? Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's been a few people. I definitely chose really great friends growing up and in my young adult life, and that was super beneficial for just like my approach to life. But I never really had like a solid mentor, so to say. I guess I consider myself like a cherry picker. Like I just cherry pick people's strengths and beauties and goodness,
I love
and
that.
also try to recognize even the opposite and like, finding what I can incorporate in my own life. And just like celebrating people's strengths. We all have our little like superpowers, so to say. But I guess lately my mom, my mom is super a wonderful woman. I'm so thankful for just how she raised me and how much time she gave me. I just think like the gift of time that she shared with me alone helped me become the person I am today, and she was just so present and just gave me a lot of time. And I think a lot of parents struggle to do that today, like just giving their children the time that their children need. They're just gone all day long, and then they have their after programs, and just they're just gone too much. They're not having that time that they need with the person they admire the most. And so I just like my mom. She's so cool. She just the way she views other people, she's just so she's really giving of her time, and she's celebrating people's strengths and cheering them on. And my mom, she has 10 grandkids now.
10?
And just, yeah,
What, your
my
brothers all have
brother, I have
kids?
two brothers, and they both have children. So it's been cool to just learn from her and how she views all the different personalities and the different approaches to life. And she's just there to love everyone. And I just think like at the end of the day, if we just like love other people well, like if something crazy happens, at least we did that.
That's it. It sounds like she's the glue to the family. I hope you were happy with Helen Hunt's portrayal of her in the movie.
My mom was so stoked on that. And my dad was like really stoked on Dennis Quaid playing him. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then yeah, but I think, and I'm continually just like reading books and getting ideas and hearing from different people. I think
Yeah.
just like continually being teachable is such a great attribute to carry throughout your life. Just be teachable. That's part of like what I call in my adopt method is like we finish at the end in the adopt method with be teachable. And I continually like chose to be teachable, like whether it was in my sport or like motivational speaking, like just finding someone that can like be honest and real with me and help push me and celebrate me, but also like help me grow. And so I think being teachable is something that all of us can carry in life, and continually just learn and grow. And there's different seasons, there's different things coming our way, so why not continually like grow and learn and be teachable.
Bang. And so many cool things that you just said. Number one, the cherry picking, that's so me. Like I use the concept of modeling, like find different attributes of people that you hold in high regard that do things very well. What is it that makes them tick in those areas and grab that? So I'm a cherry picker myself, but I never heard it articulated like that. I love that. And then you say be teachable. Like that's so important. Like, and also you want to surround yourself with people who don't co-sign your bullshit, so to speak. People that will tell you
Yeah.
straight up, like, Bethany, you need to improve here, or you're not putting in as much effort with this, whatever the case to be. You want to surround yourself with people like that, and then obviously you have to be willing to take it with positive reinforcement and adapt. So beautiful that you said that.
And I like lately it's like finding people that like celebrate you as you are. Like there's almost like this I'm trying to live an exceptional life. When you're trying to live an exceptional life, there's not a lot of people that are also trying to do that. So sometimes you almost like downgrade like what you're trying to do, like just to like not seem too exceptional, so to say. Like, oh, I'm trying to eat this way because it's really like my energy is amazing and I'm feeling really healthy. So I'm not going to go and do like eat something that doesn't really like support me in that way. So like not stooping lower because someone else is at that place and they don't want to try to like push themselves, and like just being you naturally and honestly. versus,
Authentic. Yep.
yeah, authentic. Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I agree with you 100%. In regards to everything that you've been through, for anyone that's coming up, that's going through any type of obstacles or adversity, what could you suggest? What do you think the most important character trait is to push through adversity?
Oh man. Well, I guess I don't know if I could narrow it down to one, but I just think like for me, in my darkest times, my faith in God has been like my rock and my foundation. If all else failed, that was like my hope and my the like tying point of my resiliency. But I think this is just super like kind of general advice, but just talking with someone. I think we can't hold things inside. When we hold things inside, it just like rusts away inside of us and eventually eats at our like beauty and joy. So I think just being able to be honest and open with someone, whether it's someone that you love and trust, or just seeking out someone that can bring good counsel and like see a different perspective and whatever it is that you're struggling with, and just not know that you're like not alone. Like we're all going through hard times, and I think the more honest we can live and more just open about what we're struggling in, it's just going to be better than trying to hide it and put on like a show. So I'm cheering you all on to, yeah, know that
100%.
you can be more
Yeah.
honest even, and the chances are whoever you talk to, like they've already faced it and they can be like a shoulder to lean on.
Yeah. We all need support. Sometimes we have an ego. We need to push that aside and ask for support. The power of communities, so to speak. I know
Yeah.
that I know you're just getting warmed up. I know that you have so much life to live and so much light. But I wanted to ask you this question for me, just personally, with the ripple effect that you've been able to cultivate and just inspiring so many people in their dark times to kind of push through and so forth. Bethany, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh man. I don't know. I guess just to remind people that they too can just overcome and be resilient and, get back on their board.
Bang. I absolutely love it. The audience is going to be obsessed with you in 2 seconds. In case they live under a rock and they're not familiar with which they are, where can they support you? Where can they follow you? Where do you hang out the most? Instagram?
I'm probably most active on Instagram, but yeah, I even have like a private community that I host on Facebook. It's the Unstoppable Living Group, so you guys can check me out there if you like. I do like monthly Zoom calls and just keep it real and talk about life and continually try to encourage others in their own journey. So
I
it's so
love it.
awesome to talk with you, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And the audience, they're very engaging. They're very loyal. They're going to love you. They're going to hit you up. Trust me. They might even slide into some of your comments and so forth, but you'll love them. They're all great. And Bethany, you know how special this was for me today, even just telling you like the impact that you've had on my life. So I just
Oh,
wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
I
And
just love it because it's ripple effect. Now you're doing
yeah,
your thing and you're having your ripple, and I'm sure some people that you work with will have their own ripple effect too. So it's
I
awesome to hear.
I guarantee it. And Bethany, I just wanted to say that you don't shy away from your challenges as they've shaped you. It's something I find very relatable and liberating. I want you to know that you are the definition of resilience, grit, and heart, from overcoming such a traumatic experience to being back in the water a month later and now reaching billions of lives worldwide and initiating a ripple effect of determination, like we just spoke about. You're an inspiration and a role model to your 3 boys and to anyone coming up today, especially facing adversity. I love and respect you. I'm proud of you. And this will absolutely not be the last time that we collaborate. Keep on shining that light, and I will be an advocate of your journey until my very final breath. Thank you so much, Bethany.
Thanks, Craig. Lots of love and aloha.
Aloha. We'll speak soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.